Hi, it's Carter, host of Coffee with the Carter Man podcast, America's #1 political activist podcast. Check it out on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, the works. I think you're going to love it. Also, president of ConstitutionalRightsPact.com, ConstitutionalRightsPact.com. We noticed in the news today that President Trump's, the once and future President Trump's communications advisors have struck again with their absolutely self-serving, self-aggrandizing, disastrous advice. This time they have convinced President Trump to go on Meet the Press. Remember, previously we talked when they convinced him to rescue Morning Joe and Mika by inviting them down and glorifying them at Mar-a-Lago. They were in the dumps. They were almost gone, thank God. And he pulled them back and set them up. The communications advisors did. They're the ones that advised him to do it. Why? Because they want to suck up to network executives. Why? Because then when they abandon Trump, which they all will do, kind of like Kellyanne Conway did, they get the big multi-million-dollar contracts from the very network executives who they helped prop up by rescuing their hosts and hostesses on their news shows. Kind of an ugly game, isn't it? Well, it's what Washington is all about. Self-aggrandizing climber suck-ups, and Trump's communications advisors are the worst. Now they've advised him to go and meet the press with Kristen Welker. Kristen Welker, one of the 4 vixens who have shredded Trump on their, quote, newscast throughout the campaign. They were just vicious and vile, but even before that, as a matter of fact, any conservative, the 4 vicious vixens on the network news who Trump's communications advisors are now rescuing one by one, they'd be gone. They were moribund. Network news was in the tank. And these communications advisors are helping them out, re-elevating them because they can get a job with the network down the road. Okay, shh, keep it secret. It ain't a secret, it's what they do. So this time, they convinced Trump to go on with Kristen Welker, one of the most vile of the 4 vixens, network vixens, on Meet the Press. Kristen Welker. Now, this is her normal look when interviewing conservatives. I'm sorry. That's Joan Davis from the, I think, 1948 movie Straight Jacket with her meat axe there. You say, well, Carter, how could you make a mistake like that? Well, here's Kristen Welker's normal look when interviewing conservatives. Kristen Welker, look at the eyes. Joan Crawford in Straight Jacket. Notice the same crazed, demented look. Now you might say, oh, Carter, that was just a bad picture of Kristen. Here's another pic of her when she was interviewing a conservative. Kristen Joan. That is her normal psychotic look when she interviews conservatives. She was in the tank. She was on her way out. And Trump's communication advisors just rescued her. Now, do you think there's any chance in the world that this crazoid is suddenly going to start being nice to Donald Trump? Okay. Not on your life. She's not putting down the meat axe. She just had her career rescued by a guy that she's going to chop his head off. Okay? For the next 4 years now. Isn't that lovely? Isn't that lovely? What the hell's going on? You don't reward your enemies. It's just, I'm a big boxing fan, and you can tell a guy's going to be a champ by what he does when he has the opponent on the ropes, okay? If he finishes him, probably the guy has a shot of being a champ there. if he backs off, you say, this guy doesn't know how to close the deal. Trump's not just backing off thanks to his communication advisors. He's inviting the opponent back in the center ring, dropping his guard and saying, take a couple punches at my head. That's what his cornermen, his communications advisors, have now advised. Now, you might say, Carter, you're going overboard on calling those network women the four vicious vixens. Here is from the Trump debate. Remember when she savaged Trump at the Trump debate? Look at that look on her face from Lindsay, with an E, Davis, when she talks. She's interviewing a conservative there, by the way. Okay? Look at the eyes. Look at the eyes, the telltale eyes. Of course, Dana Bash, CIA Dana. Look at that look when she interviews conservatives. Absolute, utter hatred. Okay? Dana Bash, and let's remember, Dana Bash, born Dana Schwartz. Most recent husband, John King, so she could be Dana King. So why does she keep the name Bash? Her second husband, she divorced 9 years ago because he's a top vile CIA operative. Okay, one of those who signed the lying letter, the 52, in 2020 about Hunter's laptop. And he feeds her all the notes that she then reads on the air, probably reading them there, finished reading them there to Lindsey Graham. And then, of course, you have my favorite, Psycho Caitlin, with her usual look when interviewing a conservative. You know, I've said over and over again, if you went into the supermarket and the checkout counter person looked at you that way, you would call the manager and say, I think you have a psycho on register 3, okay? That's her normal look she adopts when she interviews conservatives. She was also on the ropes, but this latest move by Trump's communication advisors, Rescue and Meet the Press, is in turn going to help rescue this crazoid, or as I call her, Dinosaur Media, the Dragon Queen, okay? She was about to become obsolete along with the others. Now it's been rescued. Folks, you can't stop fighting, because we don't only have to deal with the Democrats and the radical left mainstream media. We have to deal with the enemy within, okay? The enemy within. Some of the Trump insiders who give him the worst possible advice for their own self-aggrandizement. So we're going to stay on the ball. We're going to stay in the fight. We're going to win the fight, because we're going to keep encouraging Donald Trump. Get rid of those around you who keep leading you astray and setting you up. Mr. President, that's what's happening. Fight, fight, fight those guys as well. Let's do this thing, folks.